Hi, I'm Bonnie Lexizawat.
And I'm Ann Cooper.
We're from the Department of Biology at the University of Kentucky.
The purpose of today's experiment is to see how crayfish respond to osmotic stressors when placed in a distilled water solution, a brine solution, as well as salt solution. You will measure the weight of the crayfish before and after placing the crayfish in the three different environments. We will also take out the hemolymph from the crayfish and place it in either a distilled water solution or a salt solution and see if the crayfish will actually gain back the volume that was taken out. You will also be able to learn how to use a conductivity probe to measure the conductivity of the environment that the crayfish is placed in, and you'll also be able to measure the specific gravity of the different solutions. So let's get started. So what you want to do is grab the crayfish from behind the claws, and before you weigh it, you have to dry the crayfish off. So just grab some paper towels and just wrap around the crayfish. Be careful your fingers don't get caught into the cloth. Once you think the crayfish is dry, take it over to the balance. Before measuring the crayfish, you want to tear the balance, and you can place the crayfish on its back. The measurement will be 40.55 grams. Record that measurement and place the crayfish into either the salt water bucket or the fresh water by just dropping the crayfish in. Now wait until it's time to measure the crayfish again. Just like the first part of this experiment, we will want to take the crayfish out of the container, grab the crayfish from behind the claws, dry the crayfish off, and then take the weight of the crayfish. But make sure you tear the balance before measuring the crayfish. Tear the balance. Record the measurement, and then pick the crayfish up again. What you can do to make sure the crayfish doesn't pinch you is place the paper towels into the crayfish claws and then wrap the crayfish up like a burrito. With your hand, pull out the crayfish tail and hold it with your finger. Take the syringe and what you'll want to do is draw the hemolymph from the side of the crayfish, not in the center but to the side. So what you do is just go in, draw as much hemolymph as you can, pull the syringe out, place the syringe on the side, and move the tail towards the center of the body of the crayfish, so that way the blood will clot. Now after a few seconds, you can re-weigh the crayfish to measure the weight that was taken out by the hemolymph. First, make sure you tear the weight and place the crayfish on its back onto the balance. After you record the balance, place the crayfish into the condition that you will use for this experiment. You can also measure the weight of the hemolymph that was taken out from the crayfish by placing down the balance and tearing the balance. Then just inject the hemolymph onto the container and record the weight of the hemolymph. Now after waiting a certain amount of time that's outlined in your lab, You can take the crayfish out of the container, dry the crayfish off, tear the balance, and weigh the crayfish, and see if the crayfish was able to regain the amount of weight that was lost when you drew the hemolymph out of the crayfish.
The conductivity pod is connected to the lab probe, and the conductivity probe is sitting in distilled water. What you do is turn on lab chart 7, X out of the lab chart welcome center, go to setup, channel settings, change it to one channel, press OK. Then at the right, go to channel 1, click on conductivity pod, change the settings to the most sensitive settings, press OK. The conductivity probe is used to measure the conductivity of the solution. So first you're going to measure the fresh water, which is actually distilled water, and it should read 0. And you should see that after you press start on the screen. Then you want to place the conductivity probe in the salt water solution. You can then get the reading of that. The refractometer is used to measure the specific gravity of a solution. Take out the refractometer and the dropette. Open the glass covering, place a drop from the salt water on the surface. Close the glass covering. You can look into the end of the refractometer to measure the specific gravity. Rotate the blue piece at the end to focus. Look for the blue line to see the specific gravity.
I hope you were able to collect some data that either concluded if the crayfish was an osmoregulator or osmoconformer, also if the crayfish was able to regain the amount of hemolymph that was taken out when placed in different environmental conditions. And I hope you were able to learn how to use the instrumentation to measure specific gravity as well as conductivity of the environment.
So that's it. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your experiments.